I've used the analogy a lot. If you're talking about bands and somebody's never heard of the band, but they probably agree that they've heard the band because they're probably blowing smoke up your ass. Then if you let them listen to the band, then they already know what the band sounds like, so they already know. Ooh, it's no longer profound. Now, if you think of information that's not available to the general public, that's something I could show you, I could impart to you, I could teach you, I could show you how to use as a tool. It's important. But typically speaking, if I show you bits and pieces of this, people will gloss over it and or ignore it. And they won't find it profound in any form or way because I don't spell it all out for you. And when I show you something, then you already have it and you don't have to work for it. Most of you probably won't see this and or care. It's been pretty hairy. What I've rediscovered now, it exceeds, the amount of time that I have in a given, day and a night to get other shit done, to live life, do what I gotta do, pay bills, blah, 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 and find time to catalog these things. I have answers to reality. I have tools, techniques, methods I could teach people, but I'm looking for folks who aren't going to fuck it up, who give a shit and are willing to put in the time. A precious few of you out there have shown interest. Some of you guys are chipping away at stuff, and I really appreciate that. I appreciate you guys sticking with me and not bailing, because most people just run for the fucking hills. Because I'm not shopping around the same delivery as everybody else, and I'm not singing the same praise as everybody else. I'm talking about the carbon copies on the internet. I've said this a bunch. The internet has since become a monetary, how did I put it before? It's a popularity contest based on monetary gain. It's one way to think of it, with the social feedback loop and all the other horse shit. But it's been monetized is the thing. There's an incentive, and yeah, we all got to pay bills and all that shit, and it's nice. People have helped me out, and that's a huge fucking deal. Because fuck, last couple of months, some of you guys have done sweet things for me, and it means a hell of a lot. Without that, Jesus Christ, go without. That's how it works. That's just how this shit works. And that's what I've been up to. Some of you guys know I haven't driven, for over a decade now, at least not legally, and very rarely. And most of it was, people popping up at my house randomly and telling me, hey, will you move my car and park it? It has not been extensive. I gave up a lot of luxuries to be able to do what I've been doing. This is one of many examples. I hear people talk about camping, and that used to be something that I would do. It was a ritual. And I haven't done it in so fucking long, I don't feel like myself. It's been part of this process. This is part of the wilderness years. In other words, to gain something, you have to sacrifice something. Something you really, really fucking love. And it's tricky. It's a really tricky and it's a slippery slope. And a lot of people out there probably don't know what the fuck I'm alluding to. I'm also not encouraging you to do or go the emphasis on luminous route, where you shed blood, because you don't need to do that. You got the physicality and you got the light, so to speak. It works both ways. It's better if the ritual involves a balance between the two, but it doesn't have to be blood. It does not have to be blood. That's something that would come up in those circles, but that guy's fucking taking people for a ride long term. Shiesty shit. Yeah. I don't know. I was just skating home and I was trying to tell myself, I need to eat right now, but what I was thinking about doing was trying to catalog some shit. When I do this, in this state, I'll knock out quite a bit because I'm running on this, there's a high associated with it, but I will also crash. And I'll crash pretty hard because I haven't eaten enough and all that other stuff today. Yeah. Minimal effort in terms of eating these days because I've been cleaning out the system and fasting long term and a bunch of other wacky shit. In some ways, it's helping. In other ways, there are birth pangs to it. Same difference. If you want to gain something, you got to sacrifice something. Most people don't want to appreciate that. They want it to be business as usual, which is, you could parallel that with the people I do bump into, usually the strangers online, who just talk at me. They don't understand that they're going to have to give up part of the routine that they're accustomed to, that they've been trained to enjoy in order to achieve something else, which means they would have to work for it, which means usually people tune out. Same applies to when I ask people to think for themselves. That's what I'm asking you to do. And most people don't want to do it, and or they can't figure out how to do it. They can't fathom how would I figure any of this out? How do I understand what you're saying if you don't spell it out for me and send me a link and spit it out in less than 60 seconds and fuck me running? This is where we're at with things these days. It's dark, it's a shit show, and most people have bought into that garbage. On the way home, I saw somebody who, it's the uniform of what people would call punk. She had a little blue mohawk and some torn up fucking clothes, and she also seems like she was part of, and I don't know if some of these kids actually are crippled or not, but I've seen a lot of kids doing this, not to mention our food supply has been tainted, so kids are less healthy than they ever have been in terms of our history. But she was walking with a cane, like a little helping stick, and she was wearing a mask. These pseudo intellectuals. If you understood the importance of oxygen in terms of your body running at optimal capacity, these pseudo intellectuals would have never bought into the fucking nonsense. Ever. But none of them know what a micron is, and all that other stuff I always rattle off, and this video will probably be flagged because I said this, but you never know. Maybe it will, skate on past those patently fascist tactics in place to fuck you and I up, which most people cater to, having to do with what people relegate to the algorithm. If you and I did the right thing, we could stop a bunch of stuff that's currently in place fucking us up, but people aren't willing to do that. Simple stuff that you could reason out, not the complicated stuff that I'm sitting on. If you just did the right thing. I was joking around the other day. I mean, you can't get people to fucking boycott Disney. So how likely is it for people to actively change anything, to try to change anything? If you can't get a bunch of bargain bin kids to boycott Disney when it's clear and present and there's nothing but proof, Disney has promoted pedophilia. Disney is part of pedophilia in a number of ways. And that's just one of the many glaring issues. You could also dip into the Tavistock Institute, having to do with the divisive rot that people are spoon-fed these days, that people on the internet call the message. They promote it, which means nobody should support it. But that's not going so well, which is why we still keep getting Disney cash grabs. It's the same reason our masters keep pulling the rug out from all the unassuming duds out there who are trusting and believe in the government and junk like that. Today, I think, is a holiday because while I was out skating, I saw a bunch of wartime flags of the District of Columbia across town. So it's Memorial Day or some horse shit, some bullshit holiday to support the corporation and praise the fact that many people have been sacrificed to further the agenda, essentially, to see that you and I are subjugated. And most people don't realize this, and they say, oh, patriotism, and oh, the veterans, and oh, this, and oh, that. Same idea as praising cops. If you were using your brain, you wouldn't have done these things. It's the same thing I said about the gal with the walking stick. She wouldn't do that if she was thinking for herself. Not the walking stick bit, but the shit that inhibits oxygen intake. It's counterintuitive. It's counterproductive. It's fucking retarded, but most things are these days. What the fuck do I know? Two agendas for the price of one, and clearly these kids don't understand that space is a bad pun. It exists, just not in the way you think of it. Fucking retards.